I tell you, Michael Myers is here in this town.
To be a Halloween TV series.
Yay!
Now there's two courses of thought here. One, they do something true detective style that's stretched out over a course of time, and it's a new story with Michael Myers. And the other thought is it's going to be a season of The Witch, either continuation or complete retell. And actually, that one seems to be leading the way at the moment. It's sounding more likely that it's going to be Season of the Witch related than Michael Myers. I don't know about you guys. I just have never been able to. I'm not saying there's nothing good out there, but I've never been able to get into horror TV shows that are like serial killer based. You know, I like Flanagan stuff and what he does, but I just have a hard time. Like, okay, so you have 8 episodes of whatever. To me, it's hard to use Michael Myers like that across 8 episodes, where a Season of the Witch story, I mean, you can do all sorts of fucking messed up shit with that. Johnny and Jerry, your thoughts on a Halloween series, and then we'll get Randy to close it out. But your thoughts on the Halloween series and what way you would go and what way you think they might go.
I think for me, I like the idea of a Halloween series. But the problem is, at this point in the franchise's life cycle, I think anything that's not about Michael is going to get shit on by the populace at large. Like, there's a small community of people who really love Season of the Witch, but it's a very small, very niche portion of the fan base. You know, most people ignore it, despite the fact it's actually a pretty good movie. It's still like, oh, it's the worst Halloween movie in history because it doesn't have Michael in it. You know, like, that's, I guess, fine, whatever. But I don't know. Like, it would probably be, like, from a storytelling perspective, Season of the Witch would probably be better for a TV series because you can sort of stretch out the story over a longer period of time. It doesn't have to just be Halloween night, since that has been exclusively when Michael sort of does his thing. But I think a Michael TV series could be interesting, depending on how you play it, you know, and what type of series it is. Could be fun. I mean, I think, you know, if you were to sort of do something in between, you know, assuming you're going to stay in the currently established canon, I think if you were to do something in between 1 and the Halloween, you know, 2017 or whatever, 2017, 2018?
2018, but they've already announced they will not be continuing on from that story.
No, but that's really the only two things. I think it has to be Michael if you have the Halloween name, because I think, you know, like
that's my logic too. Like, you're going to pay all this money to do a Halloween TV series, which
you're not paying for the Halloween name. You're paying for the character of Michael Myers. You know, and Season of the Witch is a part of that franchise, but it's a very small part. Like, if you want to go down a route where you sort of intertwine the two in a way that sort of explains, you know, your own sort of version of the canon or whatever, that takes it out of the films, like obviously past 1, I think, because I think you sort of have to keep that one in play. But like, if you want to play in that playground, I think you can. Or you could even start fresh if you want. Because TV, you know, you can start fresh in a TV series, I think, easier than you can in a movie, because it's different media, right? It's a different form of entertainment. So I think if you were to tell sort of a Birth of Michael television series set in a modern day setting instead of, you know, being a period piece, which sounds weird saying 70s as a period piece, but, you know, that's where we are. But, you know, if you were to set it in the present and establish it and sort of tie the two in together in such a way that, you know, the Shamrock Company plays into Michael's birth as the serial killer, I think you could do that. And I think it could be fun and interesting and play with the two in such a way that you sort of get the melding of both worlds in a fun TV series. But I think it has to include Michael Myers in some form or fashion. Anything else is just money wasted, I think. You could do that series without the Halloween franchise, and it would be just as good, and you wouldn't have to deal with the very vocal Halloween fan base saying this doesn't have Michael in it, it sucks, which is what you'd be up against.
I think enough time has gone by that people would be more accepting of a Season of the Witch TV series. I mean, when the movie first came out, people were very upset and did not want a because not that the Michael story has been done to death, but there is 11 or 12 movies with Michael that exist now. So they can go back to Season of the Witch and it doesn't feel like they're missing out on more Michael content. And like Johnny said, and it seems to be the consensus, but I think the Season of the Witch story is something you can stretch out over a series of episodes. You can only do so much with a serial killer storyline, and you can't do there's a reason there's not an 8-hour serial killer movie, because you can only do so much with it. Which, I mean, it's fine for what it is. That's not a knock against the serial killer genre, but it's a very small window that you can really tell a cohesive story in, as opposed to the Season of the Witch. You've got a lot more moving parts that you can play with, that I think would tell a better long-term story. I mean, it might not be universally accepted, and I think that's okay, but I think it's something different, and there has been almost zero, other than, an occasional, hey, I recognize that mask. There's been no fan service to the fans, or the cult following, I should say, of that movie in the last 35 years. So, it would be a nice nod, and I would be absolutely fascinated to see what kind of story they would tell with that. And I mean, would people be upset that it's not Michael? Some might. Would it hurt the overall thing they're trying to do? I don't think so. I mean, look at what happened with the last Halloween movie. People were absolutely upset about the whole, Corey Cunningham thing, but people still went to go see it, and some people have even warmed up to it. So it's not, I don't think they could really do something that would kill off this idea. So I think branching away from Michael for a little bit might be a good thing. Kind of make people forget about him a little bit, so that way they can come back to it later on, and maybe some of the, taste might be out of their mouths after the last trilogy.
Randy, any thoughts?
So even though I'm more of a Friday the 13th person, obviously I do enjoy the Halloween movies. And as far as making a series out of it, I think if it's done right, you can incorporate Michael Myers into it. I'm not saying we need a complete total procedural where we just see a trail of bodies along the way in every episode and then trying to track him down sort of thing. But I think if you can get a solid script and get the flow right for what you're trying to do, it can work. But I do feel like Season of the Witch would be a really good way to stretch that out and give fill in the blanks for improve upon the story, but as a TV series, because we all know that Carpenter, once 2 was done, 3 was meant to start the whole idea of an anthology series. So to actually take that notion and bring it into a TV series, I think could work. I mean, we've seen that with, American Horror Story, for as many seasons as it's had of that anthology series. Obviously, we've seen things with Tales from the Dark Side and the Twilight Zone as well. working as working in TV. So why not try your hand at giving us a Season of the Witch type TV series that just gives us all of that and improves upon the story, and gives us a little more character development, and obviously let's give some young up and comers a real shot here too. Why not? I feel like that you can get some of your best horror TV out of that is by getting some of these young generation a chance to really tell a really good story. But beyond that, I mean, we've seen the success of, Child's Play coming to the small screen. We know we're getting a Friday the 13th series. So this isn't kind of a natural next step for Halloween. So whether they decide to adhere to Season of the Witch or give us more Michael Myers, if they go more Michael Myers, I definitely would like a little more. Obviously, you're going to need more story. You're going to need more, I wouldn't say filler, but just give us something that at least is going to hold our attention other than the hope of seeing him on the screen. Beyond that, I'm going to be really curious to see exactly what comes out, what casting, what type of story they're going to do, exactly how many episodes in a season, just to kind of tell a complete story.
I guess the only thing that doesn't line up for me there is there was a bidding war for the TV rights. So you would think if you're getting into a bidding war and you're going to pay, the figure's not out there, but a lot of money to be able to get the Halloween TV rights, you would think that you're paying for the use of Michael Myers. There's a chance you're paying for the ability to make a Season of the Witch show. Absolutely. But the anthology route, my argument there would be, so you're just going to pay to use Halloween in the title? Because you could go do any anthology movie you want on your own without Halloween in the title, or even with Halloween with a spin on it in the title. I'd like the anthology route. I'm not saying they can't get there, but to me, despite the Season of the Witch rumors, I just have a hard time seeing Miramax go, yeah, we're going to pay all this money and not use Michael Myers. Because remember, it's not just a TV series. They announced an overall cinematic universe. So I do wonder if we will get killers outside of Michael Myers, and the common ground might be Illinois, Haddonfield, Russellville, the surrounding area perhaps. I did like Johnny's idea of possibly combining the two, a Season of the Witch / Michael story that is attached. I just have a hard time believing they would pay all that money and then go and do something completely off the board.
I mean, you do make a good point there. I also feel like I said, especially with the TV though, you're trying to figure out how to take something that normally is an hour and a half and expand upon it to the point of getting 8 to 10 episodes out of it. And maybe in some cases only 6. I think that's where my struggle is with this. But you're right. You're not going to go into a bidding war for the name unless you plan on using the Man in the Mask. So I just feel like I'm just trying to figure out exactly how they're going to expand upon it and how they're going to stretch things out to really make you invest the time into a series when you can just be like, okay, I'm just going to stream an hour and a half long movie.
I think the Halloween franchise sort of already has that ability built into it, because as much as we like to say, oh, Halloween, it's all about Halloween night, but I mean, has there ever been a Halloween movie that is literally strictly 100% confined to just Halloween night?
I mean, not really. I mean, usually it takes a course over a few days. So, I mean, I can see how they could utilize that.
I think Halloween 6 would be the only one.
So, I mean, even then, there's only one example. I mean, let's put it this way: if you're struggling to come up with that answer, I think that sort of says it best right there. That Halloween has always sort of built in the buffer period where Halloween night is the climax. You sort of already have that. Like, you can stretch it out over those few days leading up to Halloween and tell these stories into it. Like, just because it's a horror series about Michael Myers doesn't mean every episode needs 10 kills in it. If you build up each episode to a kill at the end, you can stretch this out over a few days and get your 8 episodes out of this where Michael's kill count is still in around 10, or the final episode, Halloween night, get more kills, but you can still have a solid kill count and have a good series, but still have it stretched out and have that, because like, I would like, if you make it more like the original and have it more about the shape, like you see Michael in the corner of your eye, you see him stalking after whoever the main character is. I think you get so much more play out of that than just building up to, trying to stretch one night over 8 episodes, which would be very difficult.
I tell you, Michael Myers is here in this town.